everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Charts. If you've seen us in the past, I'm the CEO of TrueShares, Mike Lucas. Today, I have with us the Director of Business Development from Paralel Technologies, Stephen Perry. Steve, welcome to Off the Charts.
Yeah, thanks. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so Parallel Technologies is obviously a very important partner of TrueShares, some of the best people I've worked with in the business. And Steve's a big part of that machine, but that's not all there is to Steve, right? And I know recently you did some fun things out in the Himalayas, which I want to talk about in a second. And but as a broader topic, I also know that you were a high-level Division I college athlete, soccer player, and as a former athlete myself, I'm too old to consider myself still an athlete, but I know that we always find common thread amongst those that have spent time with a team in the locker room pursuing individual goals, team goals, and you often see a correlation to that in the business world for a variety of reasons. Some are sort of that goal-oriented personality, some are that still chasing the adrenaline, the thrill of the competition. But let's start with, sort of what drove you to head out to the Himalayas and attempt. I mean, I guess you're going to school me on this, but it's one of the tougher climbs, right, on the planet that you pulled off, and an impressive feat in and of itself. But I'd personally like to know what drove you to do that and how that sort of fits into your lifelong pursuit of goals and competition and how you approach things on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have always enjoyed the physical pursuit of whether it was soccer or hiking or, people have heard me talk about shuffleboard as a competition. And so uh, I've always wanted to get out to the Himalayas, always wanted to go see Mount Everest, experience just feeling just this tiny part of a massive ecosystem. And so my wife and I were on the pursuit of family planning, having kids, things like that. And I said, I got to get out there. There's no way I'm going to be able to take 25 days away from a family. And luckily, Parallel allowed me to take this long journey. And I even had to call my sister. I called the guide and I said, hey, can I do this? Am I physically capable of doing this climb, this trek? And what I learned on both journey and from those conversations is a lot of it was mental. And do you have the mental capacity to just put one foot in front of the other and keep going? Um, and so they said I could do it. I still wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it. I made the decision about 120 days before the actual expedition. And I put a plan together on how I can get myself physically in shape. And over that 120 days, I hit about 180 workouts to get ready for it.
Wow.
And that's how it started.
That's pretty cool. And that's a level of commitment that, and this is, I think what I'm grabbing at, right? The feat in and of itself is amazing. And I think it's really cool and something most of us never even contemplate, never mind attempt. But you get up in the morning, you've got a goal in your head, and it's an individual goal. And you say, I want to do this for myself. I want to prove something to myself. And, where does that trait start? Is that something you pick up? Like you played soccer at Notre Dame, right? I mean, we're not talking about Division I adjacent. We're talking about a really important program, athletics program. Is that something you pick up when you're a kid and you start to get into athletics and you realize you've got that competitive gene, you've got that self-drive, or is that something you learned along the way, or is it something you developed after you stopped playing where you're just trying to fill that adrenaline gap?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think I was
Mhm.
always driven to be competitive. And I think I probably developed that at a young age. And I think reaching that goal and hitting the mark and the willingness to prepare is something that you learn along the way too. Um, I think there's a couple things that pop into my mind, growing up. I'm doing yard work and my dad says, "A job half done is a job not done at all," and that sticks with me.
Yeah.
I go to
Yeah.
college and I'm playing soccer and our coach, we always called him boss. He had this, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And so you have all these little idioms and sayings but if you unpack them, to get something done and do it the right way, you have to prepare and you have to put in the time and you have to put in the effort. Whether it's, you got to pass the initial fitness test in college, whether it's you have a fund launch deadline coming up in 4 months, there's a process that you have to go through. And then for this, it was the same thing. I didn't know what I was truly getting into when I was going to be at that 18,000, 20,000 feet, sucking down on the lack of oxygen and how I was going to feel. But I knew that I had to go through a level of physical pain and effort here at sea level in Chicago. I think Parallel's based in Denver, but I live in Chicago. And so I had to find a way to prepare for the altitude and the physical effort I was going to be going through. And so I knew I had to just put myself into it somehow. And so, workouts, Stairmaster, Stairmaster with backpacks and boots on. So whoever at the gym is looking at me like I'm psycho. Um, but it was a lot of fun to get back into that, just head down physical nature prepare.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great, honestly, it's a great feeling. Great feeling when you commit to it, even better feeling when you accomplish it. So congrats to you. Um, how does that attitude, right? That mental toughness, that mental preparedness, how does that blend into how you approach your days at Parallel? I mean, I know personally, I know because I've met almost everybody at Parallel at this stage, although you're growing pretty quickly, so maybe I haven't. But it's one of the more unique atmospheres that I've encountered in our business where from top down, Jeremy is, I think he's a free thinker and obviously enjoys teamwork and setting goals and achieving goals and doing it in, I think, a very palatable way, to
Mhm.
most people versus some of us that are head down and ram until you get to the finish line. But so how does that that personality trait that you have translate to context within Parallel and the 40 Act business?
I think there's a lot of like-minded people at Parallel in terms of the level of effort you have to put in to provide really good service to each other, to our clients, and to um, ourselves. And so that's actually, it's actually one of our values at Parallel is service. That's what the three dots above the P on Parallel coordinate to the others, ourselves, our clients. And so, not only was I given this opportunity to go pursue this goal, but I had to work pretty hard to get everyone and myself prepared for when I was gone, you know? And so a lot of it is head down, get the work done, make sure you are prepared for, is it a board meeting? Is it fund launch? Is it a fund conversion? Is it truly just a new data ask from a client? And so I had to refocus on not only preparing for this climb, I had to refocus on how I'm working, how I'm putting in the time and effort. Um, and I think at Parallel, we allow people to pursue these goals, whether it's, someone trying to code to figure out how to be more efficient in the legal process for board meetings. Are they using the tools and data around them to put together a new process? Do they have the courage to do that? I'm trying to hit another value of Parallel, the courage to do what hasn't been done. And so not only do we try to hire the right people, but we also try to give all of our employees and everyone there the freedom to pursue something that they're passionate about.
Mhm.
Um, whether it's me doing this trip to Nepal. Jeremy actually just had an opportunity to go with the Crown Institute from at CU, University of Colorado Boulder, and he met the Dalai Lama. He is super passionate about building that out and the philanthropy. And so, I think this is a roundabout way of answering, you know, Parallel's environment allows people to do things like I did. It allows us to pursue personal goals and professional goals.
Yeah, that's it. It's an incredible environment, and obviously you're flourishing in it. Um, and so from that perspective, culture means so much, right? Allows people to capitalize on the character traits that make up who they are, right? And in most cases, hopefully those are positive character traits. Um, but certainly in your case, and for those at Parallel, every single person I've met there has reflected the same um, outlook, on business and life, and it permeates, I think, your deliverables and your product, and that's why we enjoy working with Parallel so much. But look, Steve, these are quick hitters, 10 minutes or so, and I know the audience starts to, no matter what we talk about, they trail off after about 10 minutes. So listen, thanks for joining. Thanks for your input. Congrats on the accomplishment. Really cool stuff. And I know we'll see you soon, as we talk quite a bit over the course of any given month here. So thanks again,
Yeah, thank you.
and we'll have you on again soon.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Mike.